This is the second rotation for Astromancer Alena, and we can still Rinak solo it, thankfully. My Rinak is 200 speed now, though, so it's going to be a much more accessible version of the Rinak solo, just because getting her speed pretty high can be annoying, especially because for this rotation, our speed imprints are a bit more limited. And then there's a bunch of different methods you can use to cheat with your Rinak speed, so I'll go over all of them. You can see which ones you're able to use, like if you have the units, if you have the artifacts, that sort of stuff. You can combine some of them, mix and match, see what works for you. I scored 44 million with this team. You don't need to score this high. This is just a top 5% team, so as long as you're within the top 5%, you're good to go. You don't have to push your score super high or anything. You'd have to use a real team in order to make the top 100. And then we can also mention that there's going to be an unequip next week, as if they follow the usual schedule. So I would wait until next week to do your run so you can save on gold costs, not having to move your gear and spend gold. So this is the team that I'll be using. Rinak plus 3 supports, and these slots have a bunch of different options, so we will talk about these later. The main thing is just you need 4 different elements, so no duplicate elements, which at the very least means no Earth units in these 3 slots. Let's take a look at Rinak first. The thing that's mandatory for Rinak is Lifesteal set, and then I think you want to aim for 200 speed. You can make her slower. I'm actually kind of curious how slow I could make her. You can see my individual pieces here. Now I'm kind of curious if I could get away with 0 speed subs on these pieces, but I'm not going to test it anymore. It's just 200 speed works fine for me. And I have some... My cheating options are, of course, speed imprints, and you saw ALots S2 CR push. There's some other options for those slots, but one more thing you can do with Rinak is if you go to her artifact, I'm using Cruel Mischief for damage, but Secret Art Storm Sword is actually the best one, just because 24% CR push, or 18% if you're plus 15. This will activate at the very start of the fight when Alena uses her S2 in Phase 1. In Phase 2 and 3 it doesn't matter because of something you'll see later, but it doesn't matter in Phase 2 and 3. And then also, when Alena puts up Cajole, the free break mechanic, you'll get another CR push. So this gives you a good amount of CR, and you can use this to cheat on your speed a little bit. And this is why I say I could be even slower, because I would be getting 24% CR in the second and third phase, so I probably could lower my speed. How low, I don't know. Your other options for cheating speed with your artifacts is... Okay, Ranon's Memorandum exists, but I think that artifact kind of sucks and isn't really worth enhancing at all. I don't even have one, so I couldn't use it even if I wanted to. I would just leave that plus 0 if you want to use that, honestly. There's also Labyrinth Cube. This is RNG. It's very RNG, 20% chance to get 15% CR, but if you're really desperate, you could try using this. The speed cheating mainly matters for Phase 1. Like, let's say you have... Or let's say you don't have ALots, and you can hit 200 speed. As long as you make it through Phase 1, 200 speed will get you through Phase 2 and 3, assuming you have a decent amount of speed from your imprints. There's also another RNG option, RNL. This can only proc on the final hit of her combo, because you can't stack extra turns anymore, but if you get an RNL proc, you'd also be able to clear Phase 1 properly. And you also really need 1 proc, because like I said, 200 speed clears the Phase 2 and 3 fine if you have a decent amount of speed imprints. So now let's talk about all of the supports. First up, your speed imprints. You actually... Well, okay, I think 1, extra support and 2 speed imprints is kind of the way to go, because Phase 1 is the hardest phase. Phase 2 and 3, we have a way on our break phase exits to make Phase 2 and 3 really easy to clear. Phase 1, we don't though, so we're going to have to do a few things in order to make sure that we have enough. ALots was the unit of my choice. This S2 80% CR push basically gives her an extra turn. You want him a little bit tanky so he doesn't immediately die, but you also want him squishy enough to die before he takes a second turn, ideally. It's just to minimize the amount of CR push that Alena gets. So he is the unit that I'm using. And then we also have 2 speed imprints here. It's just double Shuri, gives her 24 speed. Let's talk about the speed imprint alternatives first. Because we can't use Earth units, and a lot of the speed imprints are Earth units, we're a bit limited here. Your fire options, you've got Siren and Shuri for 14% speed, Veronica for 10, and I guess Tieria for 8, though there's not really any reason to use her when Veronica exists. Your light options, you've got Watcher Shuri for 10, Camilla, Mirsa, Celeste, and Gloomy Rain for 8. And then, unfortunately, for Ice and Dark, your only 2 remaining elements, it's literally just Westwind Shuri. This is the only other unit you can use here. So if you don't have Westwind Shuri, then I think even if you have Westwind Shuri, ALots is better. Just use ALots S2 here. So let's talk about the ALots replacement. I think the easiest way to do this is use a unit that has, or use a Soul Weaver, and give them Idol's Cheer. I actually just happen to have Idol's Cheer here, and this actually works out because you also ideally want a unit that has some sort of CR push, so you can cheat even more speed. Of course here, I'm missing some speed from Watcher Shuri, -10 now. So this Rinak, I would say, probably want her to be 210, or just swap her artifact over to Swordstorm, and you're fine too. So the main thing is just, on her S2, you get 40% CR push, which is insane. You probably don't want her to take a ton of turns, but Idol's Cheer makes it so that when you get hit, you get 20% CR for the highest attack unit, and you can get hit a few times and you'll be able to cheat a good amount of speed. I'm just going to demonstrate it. I'm not re-gearing Achilles. Ideally, you'd want her to die before she takes a second turn. But we can just take a quick look at it real quick. The Rinak here goes up a little bit. And then I'm not even going to do the combo. We're just going to... Or I guess I should do the combo just so it shows the usual rotation more. Here, another push from Idol's Chair, and now we can S2 Rinak, do the combo again. Now we can S2 Rinak, push her up even more. You can see even more CR pushes from Idol's Chair. Get another combo in. More Idol's Chair procs. And now she dies. So I've had the last Idol's Chair proc, but that is more than enough for us to clear this phase now. Like I mentioned, because we lost 10 speed from Watcher Shuri, I'm not sure if this clears phase 3. Would still be good for top 5% anyways. Also, just if I just gave her Sword Art Storm Sword, she would have enough to clear phase 3 anyways. But that's it for the stats and all of the setups and whatnot. So see which method you want to use. Keep in mind the whole element thing, but you could use, like, let's say you have Watcher and Fire Shuri and you want to use a Dark Soul Weaver. I think like Inos is probably a good choice. She gets the CR push from her S2. It's only 20%, a bit less than Achilles, but still something. And of course, Storm Sword on Rinak if you need even more CR push. But we can take a look at the run now. Let me get ALots back in here. Starting off, we're going to S1 because we have a debuff. This just gives us a free extra turn. And then you're ideally going to S3. Her auto AI makes her do S2 into S3. This removes your attack buff, which is kind of bad because S1 is most of your damage. So this is only a top 5% team, so it's not a huge deal. We're going to turn off auto real quick though. The main thing is just ALots S2 into Rinak and you're good to go. Because our Rinak is really slow, we need the CR push from that first ALots S2 in order to actually clear the first break phase. Or the first main phase, rather. And we have a way to clear the second and third break phase even without ALots S2. So it's just this first one where it really matters. One thing to keep an eye out for is just, this is going to change the way your break phase for your pre-break mechanic phase plays out a little bit, just because she CR pushes a random ally by 30% when she uses her S1, which is going to change the positions of the units sometimes. Sometimes you'll have block, sometimes you won't. So here we don't have a debuff, so we're just going to use S3 like normal. Here we get hit with block. Sometimes you won't get hit with block here. If you do get hit with block, then just use S1, and then S3, and you are good to go. Us cutting Alena here is consistent even with your RNG at the start of the fight, no matter what it is. That's not a huge issue for us. And here we get block again, and we're going to enter the break phase. So this lines up perfectly for me, so I don't need to do anything, but it's worth mentioning that you want the first hit of your break phase to always be Rinak S1. This is, for a thing, it just makes it so you can clear the other phases more easily. So your first hit is S1, which works out on my auto because of the bar that we had. Besides that, you can just auto it once you're in here after you S1. If your timing doesn't line up, let's say you had 20% and you S1, S3, S2, S1, and your final hit is S1, just use S1 again and then turn auto back on, or you S3. So that's pretty much the thing. It's just, let's talk about the part where we're going to get there soon. So here when you end the break phase, if you end the break phase with an extra turn, S3 here, it's done, get an extra turn. Our extra turn cuts hers. We S2, we get another extra turn. But her extra turn was queued first, so she S3s us. And we're gonna S1, but we have a debuff now. So we S1, get another extra turn, and our S3 is back up. So we can S3, S2, S1 again. And from here on out, the rest of the fight plays out pretty much the same. I've already gone over every single mechanic you need to know. It's just, when you enter the pre-break mechanic, you have to use S1 if you have block. Try to make sure that your first hit in the break phase is always S1 no matter what, and you'll be good to go. Like I said, the theme is just for top 5%, so you don't even need to clear all 3 phases, honestly, because top 100 is going to be gated off by actual teams. But I'll let the rest of the run play out, and see you guys at the end.
이 정도는 거뜬하지. 네로. 너 같은 건 껌이거든. 겁쟁이 같은 수를 쓰고 그래봤자 이 몸은 대가는 치러야겠지. 이게 다 발버둥 쳐봤자야. 날 따돌릴 순. 까불지 마. 당신이지 수많은 죄 회개할 시간이.
So that's it for the Rinak solo. It's definitely going to be a lot easier this time if you follow all of the speed cheating methods. There's a lot more than I thought there would be. I started with Swordstorm, realized I could use ALots, and then I realized Idle Share was a thing while looking at CR push alternatives. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. It should be a lot easier this time for anybody who couldn't do it last time. But that's it for this top 5% Rinak solo team, and I will see you guys for the top 100 team.